what's good? Welcome back to the channel, Bass Brothers Fishing. Here to do a long-awaited and overdue upgrade on the Rona, my John boat right behind me. Today I'm going to be upgrading my motor from a Minn Kota Fortrex to a Ultrex. And two main reasons why I'm doing this. One, I want to have spot lock on the boat. It's way overdue. Fish too many open water situations and winds are blowing the boat around, so I want to be able to lock that boat in place and fish more efficiently. And two, just all around want more of the features that the Ultrex offers around iPilot, GPS, tons of features on the Ultrex. And I kind of regret not installing the Ultrex initially on this boat, but when I built this thing out back in 2020, I was a lot more focused on cost and I couldn't justify spending the extra money. But here I am about to put on a whole nother trolling motor. I don't know, I might sell that one or keep it for another boat, we'll see. But nonetheless, it's all about making the upgrade and showing you guys what I'm gonna do to get this thing swapped out. Now I do wanna mention, I have no issues with the Fortrex motor. I actually love it, love it, love it. Matter of fact, the base motor for the Ultrex is the exact same as the Fortrex. Fortrex does not have the navigation features, all right? So if you're out there shopping around and you're looking at the Fortrex, it's a good motor. If you want spot lock, if you want navigation, iPilot, and a lot of the other features, the Ultrex is the way to go. Again, same base motor. If it wasn't for that, I'd keep the Ultrex on the boat and be moving on to something else. So that's what we're gonna do. First thing I need to do is uninstall everything. I mean, when I built this thing out, I never thought I'd be sitting here saying this. I'm gonna uninstall all that hard work, but let's get to it. I don't want to waste any more time. Let's go. All right, just to show you my setup real quick, I've got the motor mounted on the right-hand side of the boat, and one of the things I want to do is switch it over and mount the Ultrex over on the left. And I'm doing that to balance out the boat a little bit better. At least that's my intention. A little bit of trial and error, of course. That's how things are with boats. But I normally sit in the rear right of the boat, and I'm thinking having the trolling motor on the left will help me to balance out because my boat tends to drift a little bit to the right as I run the boat. I've got the Ultrex down there, but I won't worry about that right now. I just need to get this thing completely uninstalled. What I've done so far is disconnect the head of the trolling motor, just one Allen wrench screw right here. Pull that off pretty easily. One thing you don't want to forget to do when uninstalling your trolling motor, if you have this, is uninstall this tension bar right here. This is the lift assist. Makes it easier for you to operate your motor, deploying and stowing it. If you don't do that, it'll come to about this point and then you're trying to hand force it down, and that can be a dangerous situation with it flying back up because of the lift assist. So we're just going to unscrew it right here on both sides and disconnect that. Now that took some work to get it both off the boat and get the base separated from the trolling motor. And some really interesting observations here. These screws look completely rusted out, and I thought I had stainless steel screws in here. I know when I was trying to find bolts to make this work, I had trouble finding ones long enough to be able to go through everything. And I mean, these are 4 to 6 inch bolts right here. These might be zinc. That might have been all I was able to find in this length. You can see where they all were in there. And look at the powder dust. I don't know if this is rust dust or what, but man, it's a bunch of crap in here. So I'm gonna get this all cleaned up so when I store it away, it's in tip-top shape, nice and clean. And then over here at the boat, I'll have to deal with cleaning this up somehow as well. So again, I'm moving the motor over there, so this will be exposed and this will be an eyesore for me. I will not like seeing that. So I'll clean this carpet up. I do have a really good carpet cleaner, and see if I can like bring this back up to life because it's completely matted down. All right, let's crack open a new motor. This is not meant to be an unboxing video. I'm just gonna go over this briefly, what's inside the box, and let's keep this installation going. You've got your base, foot pedal. This is a 42-inch shaft, and prop is here, weedless wedge 2. This is a communication cable. So this looks like my puck. Here's my remote. I'm glad that's here. One more thing I want to mention that's good with the Ultrex is it comes with the stabilization bar. This prevents a lot of extra vibration and pressure on your motor, especially when you're running it down the river, any kind of rough water, and definitely trailing your boat. Normally, you have to buy this separate, and I think this alone is like 40, 50 bucks maybe. I don't remember, but really nice that this is actually included so I don't have to go and buy another one. All right, so that's it in a nutshell, guys. Let's get this thing in the boat. So the installation of this will actually be a lot smoother because I just verified that the holes on the Ultrex align with the exact same hole pattern as the Fortrex. I can just use the pre-existing holes that are in the base already and just drill straight through, and the holes will line up with the Ultrex. Got the holes drilled out. I just put the screws in here as placeholders, make sure I can feel them from underneath the deck. Now it's time to bring the mount up and get it installed. At this point, you want to install the gas spring, which is basically the lift assist for this motor. There's a lot of instructions in the manual that says to really be careful not to damage this while you're installing the motor. So pay close attention to where this is, because if it's in the wrong place, when you go to deploy it, it will bang on the spring motor. It'll rest on it, bang on it, and you can damage this before you even get this thing totally installed. So just be very mindful of where this is at all times. This is the hardware right here. It's 2 Phillips screws. You've got a couple spacers and a pin right here. You want your spacers, the 2 spacers, each one on either side of this gas spring. All right, push it all the way through. You have your 2 screws for each side. And that's it's in there nice and snug. And you should never really have to worry about this again. Matter of fact, when I uninstalled the Fortrex, it was really hard to get these screws out. That Loctite really does hold it in there. So once you get a good tighten on it, it should be good to go. Now with the motor, it does come with the hardware you need. You've got some bolts right here, washers and lock nuts. I did have to buy my own bolts because these are not long enough. I think these are like 2-inch, and I had to go with 4-inch. Because of my setup with having this block underneath as the mount. This is solid wood, and I need the bolt to be able to accommodate the motor, the mount, deck, and also the deck of the boat. Some things to think about when installing a trolling motor, and this isn't a complete trolling motor installation video, but just want to drop some gems to save you some headache. One, make sure your motor is not sticking outside past the side of your boat as best as possible. Reason being, you want to limit the chances out there, especially when you're at the boat ramp, at the dock, and the pier is there, and you might accidentally hit your motor because it's sticking out, or rip your motor off, or break the head, or something like that. So you want to try to keep your motor as protected and keep it inside the side of your boat. Right now I have it like right at it. And then if I come over on this side, positioning of the motor. Pay attention to where your graphs will be. How much space will your graphs take up? You don't want your motor to hit your graph. When the Fortrex was over here, I had it pretty much mounted up against this graph, and I've created an extra gap right there. I don't have a lot of room to play with, so I'm working with, it's a game of inches. I'm working with inches here. Hopefully I get it right. So ideally, if I had the motor on this side originally, I would have done the reverse on this boat. I would have had this hatch over there. I'd have had the rod locker over here. Just another gem. There's always things to think about when you are converting a boat or making upgrades. Think about how it's going to affect your existing layout. There'll be times where I'll need to get in this hatch and the motor will be in the way. I'll have to just work around that for now. Hint, hint, for now. So before I even get on to electrical, I will install the stabilization bar. Electrical will be to install power to the motor, and then make all my connections for the transducer, and then make remaining connections for stuff like the puck, GPS puck that comes with it. But we'll get to all that. going from 6 gauge all the way to, I think this is like 10 gauge, and that's a pretty big drop down. That's really only significant when it comes to how do you connect the two different gauges together. I'm using a 6 gauge butt connector, and of course it accommodates a much bigger wire than 10 gauge. So a neat little trick is just to expose enough of the wire that you can double it over. So that's what I did, just double it over to try to make something comparable to a 6 gauge wire. Yeah, that's gonna work good. I already have some resistance as I'm pushing it in there, so that's perfect. The last thing you wanna do is have a loose connection in there, and you don't want that. You don't want power loss because your connections are weak. Got a really good connection there, very excited about that. I will heat shrink it. I had to go with a 1/2 inch shrink tubing for this. Very big shrink tubing. We'll go right over that. We'll just slide this up as best as possible. Get this over the connection, and we'll shrink that down. All done. Very strong connections, watertight. Got the shrink tubing on here. You can see the silicone oozing out, and good to go. All props have a little wedge that this pin slides right into. Now this is something you definitely want to hand tighten, because you never want to over tighten, because you can restrict the actual prop from turning. That feels pretty good. Of course, it's nothing like undressing some new equipment, man. Getting that plastic off and savoring the moment, because after this, it's downhill, man. We're gonna beat this thing up and run it hard. I should have power, and I do. Got a power indicator there. I haven't read the manual yet, so I will not claim that I know all the features. Okay, so I just learned that you can't run the motor unless it's deployed. On the Fortrex, I can run the motor with it in the stowed position. So just learned something new. That's all I wanted to do, is just give it a quick test, make sure power is connected and the motor runs. I can crank it all the way up and a fuse doesn't trip or anything like that. Power test is done. Let's connect the rest of the cables. So the first thing I did was put a wire tie here, but they do recommend to leave it very loose, allowing any movement that's needed to be able to happen freely. Without seeing this in action, I'm gonna leave this pretty loose and then maybe tighten it down a little bit, but I wanna get the motor on the water and see what that really means. What kind of movement do I need? So wire ties here, it's on there loose. So a little bit of trial and error here. Recommendation is to tie this up here. And I might do this a little bit differently, but what I want to do is test out the range, stowing the motor, turning the motor, and so on, to see that this isn't a problem on this side, okay? Because when this head turns all the way around, does a 360 or a 180, we don't need this to then be too short. In the end, I will use my trolling motor sleeve. I'll run it along here and just keep everything nice and tight. All right, one of the last steps I need to do is install the puck. This is the GPS sensor or heading sensor. It goes by a bunch of different names. But this is your navigation right here. There are a couple different ways you can do it. You can install it to where if you don't have access underneath, like I do, it has a nice cutout right here, so you can still mount it flush and run your cable topside. I won't need that for this boat, so I'm gonna drill a 1/4 inch hole to run this wire through and then secure the puck down with the included screws that came with it. And then I will connect the positive and negative leads, basically connect power to the puck. They do recommend a 1 amp fuse. You can do an inline fuse or hook it to your fuse box if you have one on your boat, but you do want to fuse this with a 1 amp fuse. And I would say connect it to a power source that has some kind of switch on it. That way this isn't running all night, even when you're not using your boat. This does not have an on-off switch. It only has a pairing button on top. It has an arrow right here. This needs to face forward, and it needs to run parallel to the center line of the boat. I'm going to be having this pointing directly forward, which is really important. That will affect the ability to keep the orientation of the boat in its proper place. So make sure you pay attention to this arrow on the puck and make sure you have it facing forward. So I'm choosing this location for now. I'm going to do some other work on this boat, and I'll probably end up moving this to closer to the fish finder, but I want to try it out according to what the manufacturer recommends. And the recommendation is to install it 24 inches away from any porous metals. Now, I don't have any on here. This is an aluminum boat, so there's nothing magnetic going on here. But they also recommend it to be 24 inches away from the base of the trolling motor. And this is ironically exactly 24 inches away. So I want to go with manufacturer's recommendations because I want to see this thing perform at its best. And then I can play around with it and see if there's any change in that. So stay tuned, guys. More upgrades coming to the boat. I will be moving stuff around and testing it out, and it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun, some great content to look out for. I've got everything prepped up and ready to go. So how this is going to work is I have a negative bus bar that's located underneath you guys where you're looking from, and then I'm going to run this to the fuse box that's located in the center of the boat. And I think these leads should be long enough. I've got power to the puck already, so I'm going to press the pair button, and then soon after, very soon after, press and hold down the pair button on top of the motor head. Press that. That's flashing. And press and hold this down. Okay, that must be it. Dee 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 dee. There we go. Now we're paired. That was easy. Okay. So that's going to flash every 3 seconds. So we are successfully paired. As long as that flashes once every 3 seconds, you're good to go. When you power down the motor, don't worry, it will remain paired when you go to power it back up later. So that's it for all the connections. I just need to do cleanup. I need to get all these wires under control, get them tucked away nice and neat, get the fish finder on here. I did connect the Ethernet cable from the motor to the tray here that plugs into the back of the fish finder. I have the Helix 9 for that. One thing to note is, for now, I'm not going to attach the 2D sonar that's built into this trolling motor because I have it on my graphs already with the transducer at the rear of the boat. So that's my plan for right now. I don't plan to use that. You know, maybe I'll change that later, but for now, I just want to keep it simple and keep it moving. So after I get everything cleaned up, I'm going to get this boat on the water. One of the last steps to do is to calibrate the puck. And to do that, you have to do it on the water. You cannot do it in your garage or on land. I actually filmed a demo of this on the water, but unfortunately the footage did not save. So I'll do my best to demo this using the information on the Minn Kota website. You need to do 2 things to get your iPilot working correctly. First is to do a heading sensor calibration, which controls the accuracy of the navigation. Secondly, you'll need to do a heading offset. The heading offset is the difference between the angle of the keel of your boat, which is the center line, and the angle of the heading sensor that's mounted to the deck of your boat. This allows you to adjust for any variation when you install the puck. But don't worry, both things are very straightforward and literally took me 5 minutes to do. To do this, it can be done with either the iPilot or the iPilot Link remote. In this video, I'll show you using the iPilot Link remote. To calibrate the heading sensor using your remote, you press the home button, then scroll down and select System. On the System menu, select Sensor Cal. The remote will prompt you to drive in 2 complete circles and will show you a pie showing your progress. In addition, there'll be a number count next to the pie confirming that you've done a complete circle. Your remote will then show you Cal successful once you've completed 2 full circles. Next up, for your sensor offset, press the home button again, scroll down and select System, select Sensor Offset. From there, you want to turn your motor pointing forward and parallel with the keel of your boat. Once that's done, select Set button and you'll see the sensor offset automatically adjust. And that's it. When you're done, press the home button and exit the menu. There you have it, guys. I wanted to do a quick video for you guys. One, talk about the upgrade that I'm doing from the Fortrex to the Ultrex, and then go through some of the pet peeves, if you want to call it, about installing the Ultrex motor. I did a full install video, like in full detail, start to finish on the Fortrex. A lot of it is similar. So if you want to check out that video, link at the top of the screen, well, up here, and check that out, because installation of a trolling motor is pretty universal. I mean, you got to think about the same things. Now, the Ultrex does have more features, so there's more to install. Hopefully you guys got a good feel for that in this video. But yeah, everything tested out wonderfully, and that's what I really wanted to come out here and just spend an hour or less. I think it's going to be less than an hour just to make sure that everything is functioning properly, and it is tip-top shape as advertised. I can't wait to do a deep dive into these features and really see how I can use it and make it improve everything, improve the entire experience out on the water, and I really plan to do so. I'll try to talk about that stuff throughout future videos. Again, let me know if you want to see any feature videos on the Ultrex, if that's of interest to you. If not, let me know. If not, hey, let me know as well. We can keep it moving. Leave a like if you like this video, help it trend on YouTube, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Remember, we're on our road to 20K. Appreciate it if you're not subscribed to kindly do so right below this video. With that being said, I'm gonna head back to the boat ramp. Got a tournament tomorrow, so need to prep for that. And yeah, just different things, random things that need to be done. I got some work on the Pelican Bass Raider as well. I know you guys also watch this channel, a fan of the Pelican Bass Raider fishing and mods and all that stuff. More coming your way, trust me. I mean, the videos have ramped up, been posting regularly. Hopefully you guys see that, and we got a lot more coming. All right, I'm gonna get out of here, more to do, more coming your way. We'll see you on the next video.